Thank you, Navmi, for this really humbling and embarrassing introductions. I have to say it has been a great honor for me to be associated with KAUST. Among all my outside activities, this has been one of the most personally rewarding experience that I've ever had. So I'm really grateful to have been involved with KAUST and really work with all the great talents of KAUST. Um, First, I didn't tell you all good afternoon and salam alaikum and welcome ladies and gentlemen, members of the faculty and administration team, students and guests. I'm really honored to be here at KAUST. As I said, a place that I really is greatly important for me at this opening of the 6th Winter Enrichment Program, which I understand is becoming something of a tradition here at KAUST. Winter is traditionally a time for hibernation, but you're harnessing this beautiful weather at KAUST and using it as a time for innovation and regeneration, which is exactly what KAUST is all about. When President Chameau invited me to join you today, I was offered several topics on which to speak, ranging from whether I think my keynote address 10 years ago at Jeddah Economic Forum was still relevant to the business climate in Saudi Arabia, to what lessons I might share with you from my perspective as the CEO of a Saudi company. I chose to focus on centers of excellence, primarily because I am a strong believer that centers of excellence in all fields are a prerequisite to the development of a robust and competitive economy, and that countries with multitude of centers of excellence derive an enormous benefit. Take South Korea and Singapore as examples. Both countries enjoyed rapid advancement as a result of developing and nurturing centers of excellence. 10 years ago, I was asked to speak at the Jeddah Economic Forum, and I took the opportunity to set out my personal vision for Saudi Arabia. My vision was then, and still is, of a country with a prosperous and diverse economy in which any Saudi citizen, irrespective of gender, who is serious about finding employment can find a job in the field for which he or she is best qualified, leading to a thriving middle class, and in which all Saudi citizens, residents or visitors to the country feel safe and can live in an atmosphere where mutual respect and tolerance exist among all citizens, residents and visitors, regardless of their social class, religion, or gender. KAUST embodies much of this vision. It is a meritocracy. It brings together men and women of different ethnic backgrounds and religions. It is an environment where there is a mutual respect, although I understand it can be a bit competitive at times. It is safe and rather attractive environment, and it provides space for you to constructively engage with one another in producing innovations that ultimately benefit our knowledge, our well-being, our society, and the world. KAUST's own vision or mission statement includes enabling technology development and transfer, spin-offs and job creation by integrating research and education, leveraging the interconnectedness of science and engineering, and acting as a catalyst for the diversification of the Saudi economy through economic and technological development. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that centers of excellence in all areas are the pillars for a thriving economy. They are catalysts for innovation and job creation. So in relation to Saudi Arabia, they are an important tool that not only benefits our economy in general terms, but in particular help address our employment challenges. And make no mistake, given our increasingly growing and youthful population and high birth rate, we do have serious unemployment issues here in Saudi Arabia, just as we do elsewhere in the world. To better address these issues, I believe we need more centers of excellence in the public sector, in banking, in the private sector, and in academia at all levels. I say we need more because centers of excellence already exist in Saudi Arabia. Aramco was one of our first centers of excellence and is a great example of a center of excellence whose culture has benefited all of us, as its alumni assumed positions in other businesses and establishments throughout the kingdom, including here at KAUST. As a matter of fact, my father, whom Nadmi referred to earlier, Suleiman Olayan, some 67 years ago, was amongst the initial beneficiaries of Aramco being a center of excellence, when in 1947 he embraced the innovative and entrepreneurial spirit and, relying upon all he had learned at Aramco, took a huge risk. He took 1 year leave of absence from Aramco, mortgaged his house, established a company called General Contracting Company, GCC, by the way, it still exists today, and then bid for a subcontract with Bechtel, which was then building the tap line between the eastern province of Saudi Arabia and Saida in southern Lebanon. That project laid the foundation for what today is known as the Olayan Group. The Saudi arm of the group, as Nadmi had said, is called Olayan Financing Company, which I serve as a CEO. And OFC employs more than 12,000 employees here in Saudi Arabia, over 30% of whom are Saudis. The Minister of Petroleum, Dr. Ali Naimi, who oversaw the process of establishing KAUST and chairs our board, was also a product of Aramco culture. And we should not forget, as we heard earlier from David, our dear friend Nadmi Nasser, who was involved in KAUST from the beginning, is also a product of Aramco. Many of our banks are centers of excellence as well, and they were in the forefront of publicly listed companies who hired women and welcomed women amongst them. And so we need more centers of excellence that function like Aramco, especially in the academic areas, because as I said, and I will say it again, centers of excellence innovate, incubate businesses, and create jobs and opportunities, positively impacting everyone involved as well as the immediate and greater surrounding areas. A great example of just how true that is, of the enormous benefit provided by Center of Excellence, is MIT, a renowned institution established in the US over 150 years ago. MIT's living alumni alone have created 25,800 active companies. These companies employ 3.3 million people and generate annual global revenues of nearly $2 trillion. By the way, this is the equivalent of the 11th largest economy in the world, just after India, on par with Canada. Living alumni of another great university, Stanford, established over 120 years ago, have created even more businesses, employing more people with even higher revenues. And beyond that, they have also created about 30,000 non-profit organizations. So there is no question that the investment made to establish, nurture, and sustain centers of excellence gives a great return on investment, benefiting us all. And even though, when compared to the likes of MIT and Stanford, KAUST is in its infancy at only 6 years old, we are already seeing remarkable achievement. I'm told that KAUST has made 320 invention disclosures, submitted 219 patent applications, been issued 12 patents, and has 33 startups active today, established 37 industry collaborations that have resulted in 185 job placements, 178 internships, and $36 million of sponsored research. That is phenomenal given our age. I certainly feel privileged to have been involved with KAUST from the beginning, and I do not need to tell you how fortunate you are to be here, because I constantly hear that both from faculty and student. Speaking from my own experience as an undergraduate at Cornell University, and also as someone who has had the opportunity to visit many other fine institutions across the world, I know that one experiences something special at academic centers of excellence. They are knowledge-producing powerhouses that bring together some of the brightest and most inquisitive minds in creating what can only be described as an incredibly dynamic and inspiring atmosphere, where there is a constant flow and exchange of ideas that lead to innovations that play an important role in shaping the future of our world. By fostering innovation, regardless of where they are located, centers of excellence seem to consistently facilitate and change not only in relation to economies, but more broadly to society as large. Most of the centers of excellence I have observed share some common characteristics. First, they adopt a multidisciplinary approach. Second, they operate as meritocracies. Third, they create environment in which ideas can flow, people are encouraged to push the envelope, and no one is afraid to fail. By the way, I think people taking risks and failing is more valuable than never taking any risks, because the experience tends to be one of great value and learning. And finally, they somehow managed to create what Raphael Reif, the president of MIT, describes as ecosystems, involving all the stakeholders of the centers of excellence and the broader community. Creating self-sustaining ecosystem is tricky though. It requires the engagement of the center of excellence at all levels, as well as that of the local community at both public and private sector level. The engagement of the private sector is key to developing and sustaining a center of excellence. Here in Saudi Arabia, the private sector must continuously define the skill sets that we need our academic institutions to foster within the country's youth in order for us to compete on a global level, and the private sector must support both financially and through their engagement the creation of more centers of excellence. I believe that every responsible CEO should strive to ensure that his or her company becomes a center of excellence, and that should be ingrained as the mission or vision of every public-private sector company. That is how one attracts and develops real talents. Now, at the suggestion of President Chameau in an email exchange yesterday, I will go slightly off topic and briefly focus on our family business and our efforts to model some of the characteristics of centers of excellence and help make my vision of Saudi Arabia a bit more real. Let me begin by sharing something that my father told us reportedly over the years. He told us again and again that our most important assets are people and our reputation, and that we must safeguard the latter with our lives, because he believes, and we believe, that you can always make money and lose money, but that once you lose your reputation, you can never recover it. And one of the most important aspects of our reputation is that we are a family business that really cares for its employees and goes to great lengths to nurture and develop their talents. It is hard work. I can tell you from first-hand experience that one of the biggest challenges that we have is talent and career development. But we in the private sector must take up that challenge and also innovate. We must continuously strive to sustain a working environment that challenges and stimulates a highly talented group of men and women to flourish. We also must keep an eye on the bottom line. We are, after all, a business and have to deliver profits to our shareholders. Given the entrepreneurial nature of our company, all of us are expected to challenge each other and to put forward new ways of doing things or even new lines of business to enter. A special challenge for management is striking the balance between holding people accountable but not discouraging the risk-taking that is an important aspect of the entrepreneurial spirit that drives much of our business. You really must accept that if someone did their homework and did what they could to mitigate the risk and things just don't work out, then as painful and costly as it may be, that failure should be viewed as a price of doing business. We will all occasionally fail. One success of which I'm especially proud is our efforts to bring women into our workforce. 14 years ago, we decided as a group to hire a female executive to identify job opportunities for women within our Saudi operations. We were actually a pioneer among the private sector companies in doing that. One of her first projects was to work with a company called Inaya, which is a joint venture between Kimberly-Clark, Spimaco, and ourselves. It produces disposable gowns, drapes, and masks, and was bringing male workers from abroad to cut and sew the products, even though we have such a high rate of unemployment among women here in the kingdom. After we convinced the Inaya board of the merit of the idea, a new head of diversity approached Nahda, a philanthropic organization in Riyadh that trains women and focuses especially on widowed and divorced women who are in need of financial support. And Nahda trained the women, and they were soon integrated into our workforce at Inaya. And now Inaya is proud to have 50% of its workforce Saudi women. Over time, women joined us at all levels, and today we have more than 400 women working with us at OFC, across virtually all business sectors and at all levels. And our goal is to have 1,000 females in our company in 2 years. The growing numbers of women joining led us to form OWN, Olayan Women Network, which was actually modeled after a similar organization that I visited at Colgate-Palmolive in New York, where I was asked to give a talk there several years ago. OWN works closely with our HR department to identify possible new positions for women within our organization and provides a forum for the exchange of ideas and discussions about how we can facilitate women entering our workforce. We value the opportunity to exchange ideas, and as we grow larger and more diverse, we decided to create something called the Olayan Network Forum, where once each year we bring together people from all our business lines to brainstorm and learn from each other, while also listening to outside speakers from a range of disciplines, rather like your winter enrichment program. Recognizing that engagement with the local communities in which we operate is very important, we encourage our people to get involved with the work of our foundation. And they have been very responsive and engaged in serving on committees, visiting remote areas of the kingdom, and working hard to identify areas of need. A great example is our Ramadan project. In the lead up to each Ramadan, volunteers work hard to engage with charities and other support groups in the communities to identify projects that will have the greatest impact on those in need, and then oversee the implementation of these projects. But enough about what we do, and let's go back to the discussion, to our topic of ecosystems and the engagement of centers of excellence with the local community. I think there might be no better example of the positive outcome of close interaction between local community and a center of excellence than that of the relationship between Stanford and Silicon Valley. Stanford very deliberately encourages and fosters entrepreneurship in close collaboration and coordination with Silicon Valley and all that it has to offer. For example, the engineering school has a course called the Spirit of Entrepreneurship that is open to graduate and undergraduate students, where speakers from Silicon Valley come in and talk about things like venture financing and business models that influence a successful startup. Visiting entrepreneurs routinely take an active role in student advising and mentoring. Keeping that in mind, let's come back to KAUST. The challenge I will put to you at this 2015 Winter Enrichment Program is considering how to accelerate the development of that sort of ecosystem here. I know this environment is different, but you are, after all, innovators. So please think about it. And now, just before closing, there are a few personal thoughts that I would like to share with you, the students in the audience, based on my own experience as a student, as a young woman entering the workforce, and as CEO. Many of you are probably used to very linear and logical process that take you from A to B to C. And you probably think you can chart or perhaps even have charted a course for your life. Well, that may work for some people. But for most, life generally does not work that way. Life sometimes has other plans, but I believe that is okay as long as you figure out what you are passionate about and then follow that passion. Your passion, combined with all your hard work, will take you where you need to go. Granted, with an occasional twist and turn, but do not let the occasional failure or setback throw you off. I always tell my daughters and those I mentor that whatever does not break you will make you stronger. And I assure you that every successful person I have met has a passion for what he or she does and a strong work ethic, and has certainly had the occasional failure and experienced setbacks. Their passion and the lessons they learned when things do not go according to plan give them the strength to deal with whatever life throws at them. So go find your passion, follow it, and work hard at pursuing it. And may God protect you and guide you along the way. We need you and your passion to make this country and each of your home countries a better place for all. And as an institution, I have no doubt that KAUST will successfully fulfill its mission of acting as a catalyst for the diversification of the Saudi economy, and that it will hopefully, inshallah, achieve in the next 20 years what it took Stanford and MIT more than a century to achieve in terms of job and value creation. Thank you very much. Thank you.